What's up, guys? Oh, I did it too fast? Whatever.
Nah,
Let's just roll with
Monday.
Nobody even said anything.
Monday.
Someone said I did it too fast, but you know
That
what?
was like a
This
while
is
ago.
everyone gets in the car at 6 a.m. This comes right into it.
Some people listen Sunday night, dude.
Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Sunday.
When Puff releases
That
it
guy
Sunday
just
night.
said he listened. Frank just said he listened on.
Well, we don't know who
Sunday
Frank
night.
is yet, Tyler.
Yeah, but that's the bonus Frank.
Shh.
It's bonus Frank. Sunday night listener, bonus Frank.
Well, today we have Aaron Witt from Build Witt on. If you guys don't follow him, it's Build Witt. He basically travels the entire United States digging into, oh, nice pun there, mining and dirt. Yeah, let's just go with dirt. Let's go with
He
dirt.
likes dirt.
But he basically graduated college and went right into building a
Dirt.
marketing company around dirt, which is super interesting. You guys have nothing?
I feel like he just loves dirt.
Yeah.
That's it?
His
Love it.
content, it's infectious and it's kind of hypnotizing once you go through the photos. It's cool.
I liked it. I had fun. I mean, 25 years old, it's impressive. I mean, regardless of anything else, I think that at 25 that he seems to be headed on the right path. So
And he also, I mean, he also talks about that. He talks about how he realized that this is what he wanted to do for the rest of his life, which I think a lot of people struggle with.
For sure.
As always, guys, this podcast is brought to you by Duration Moulding and Millwork. Considering a painted wood siding on your next project because you love that look? So do we. Let us show you why architects, builders, and homeowners are switching to Duration for the same great look, but with a much faster installation and a far superior performance. To learn more about Duration Poly Ash products, please visit their website, durationmillwork.com. So you said you started your business 3 years ago, so you were right out of school?
I was 8 months out of school. So right after school, I moved to Dallas, Fort Worth for work, which I thought I was going to be there for a while. And then a company found me down in Houston 4 months later. So I moved to Houston 4 months later, got sick of that one. 4 months after that, quit, moved in with my dad. So I had to go back to Arizona. So I didn't have to pay rent.
What were those jobs?
I was working construction out of school. So I was like a project manager managing construction or road work in Fort Worth. A great job. I thought I was going to be there for a long time. And then a software company, construction software company. Are we recording or is this like pre-show?
Yeah. No, we're going.
Oh shit. Well, I hope I can swear too.
You can swear.
Excellent. When a company in a software company called me up and they say, hey, we have this program called I Build America. We're trying to inspire the next generation of tradespeople and we'd love you to come run it. So I went down, interviewed there, took a day off, interviewed there. It was too good to pass up, like a huge salary increase. And then this whole program to go run on my own. And then I just got sick of it, being told what to do and trying to carry out someone else's vision rather than my own. So I just said, screw it. I'm going to go try to do this on my own.
So the I Build America, is that, I just popped on their website. So is this similar? What's the premise behind that company?
It's dead now.
Okay.
So it's not really a thing anymore. The CEO of HCSS, a very large construction software company, said, I'm going to go create essentially a nonprofit. It wasn't legally a nonprofit, but it functioned as a nonprofit to go inspire the next generation and talk about the careers in construction and why it's a great place to work. And we're going to go talk to all our customers and go out and visit job sites. But it was just a very, old school approach. Like we need to go into classrooms and talk to kids and this and that. And I'm like, well, I already have a few million kids on my phone. Why don't we just do that? Because that's a lot easier and a lot more effective than doing your coloring your books and your presentations and this and that. But he wanted it done his way and I didn't want to do it his way. So I quit.
It's just interesting that it's I Build America, not like we build America. And I'm taking that from you, John. Like I know
It's so funny you just found that.
But I think you drove it into my brain that I used to have follow me on my truck. But
I listen to it all the time whenever I hear people talking. It's like, I love when it's a we thing. I had
Yeah.
an interview today, and it was one person who interviewed, and he's like, it was great to have us. We were awesome without it. And it was like the way he spoke.
Yeah.
Did you do the videos for that website?
No, I didn't really have a whole lot to do with that website. I came in late to the game, and it was mostly just like administrative stuff I was doing, which is why a big reason why I got tired of it.
So you left, you quit, you moved back to with your dad in Arizona.
Yeah.
And
So it
that's
was
when
like
you,
What was like,
Wow.
I'm
Whose
sorry.
phone was on?
That's a first. I immediately thought it was me. I was like, wait.
Very, very rude of me. Very unprofessional. Okay. So I got tired of I Build America. I walked in on like a Tuesday. I didn't know I was going to quit. I was frustrated, but I was sitting there eating my lunch and I just said, I don't want to be here anymore. So step one is just to leave. So I walked into Dan Briscoe's office, who's now working for us full time. He's our vice president. He was the VP of marketing there at the time. And I said, hey, Dan, I'm done on Friday. So it's Tuesday. I'm leaving on Friday. So I mean, whatever we have to do to make that happen. And then he said, close the door. And I closed the door. He's like, I'm on my way out too. So he was tired of some of the, it was nothing. It was great company, still a great company. I don't want to be the guy talking shit or anything like that. I have nothing. I don't blame them for anything at all. But we just wanted to do our own thing. We wanted to execute our own vision. He wanted to go make his own marketing agency. I wanted to go take pictures of dirt by myself. And later we married the two together. But I packed my stuff up, broke my lease. So broke the third lease in a year. Very expensive. Wasted a lot of money that year. Moved back in my dad. Didn't have rent to pay. Didn't have any bills whatsoever. No debt or anything like that. And just said, all right, let's go start a company. Let's go make this up as we go. And that's what I did. No business plan, no income, nothing. I just made it up.
So right now you don't have heat because you have a jacket on.
Yes. That's
So it's you're pinching pennies. Right? It's working out well. I can tell.
yeah, it's
It's been a transition.
well, I tell people if I paid myself anything, I'd just be buying stupid shit like guns and all sort of stuff I don't really need right now. So I might as well just keep it in the company while I can.
This is the problem right now, that you have a very deep voice and you're talking about buying guns and everything else. But if the audience could see your face, I don't think that it would match necessarily.
Yeah, which is why I try to stay away from Zoom calls.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what is your company?
So it is a Witt Media Group right now. We're reorganizing, so the company's starting to look a little different, but the primary business is marketing for heavy construction and mining companies across the entire United States. So premise of our business is the blue collar world is struggling to find people right now. Everyone's rushing off to college. Everyone's rushing off to these quote unquote, higher careers like finance and real estate. And let's go be fancy and make tons of money. And they're forgetting about the blue collar world. But the blue collar world, despite all the technology and everything that we have in the world, still makes everything function. So food, water, shelter, the three fundamental human needs. That's what the blue collar world does. That's what we take care of. And no one else does anything without us. So we market the blue collar world. We share the stories of blue collar people, how they got there, what they do day to day, why it's so important to people's lives, in the hopes of inspiring that next generation. So companies hire us to better tell their stories.
So did you go to school for like civil or marketing?
Yeah, I have an engineering degree. Yeah, the plan was to start a construction company. And so I asked the way I figured out what studying college was always just something you did. So I can't talk shit about college. I had a great time. I don't regret it at all. My dad was a lawyer, so I was raised from that background. I'm not from a blue collar family, but I wanted to own a construction company. So I found the owner of a construction company and I said, hey, Mr. Pearson, it was Rich Pearson. Hey, Mr. Pearson, what did you study in college? Well, he said, well, I studied construction engineering. And I said, okay, great. I'll sign up for construction engineering. What could go wrong? How hard could that be? I was god awful at math, was the only idiot that didn't pass the calculus test at the end of the year in high school. And my whole class, like god awful at math. And then I go get into engineering, this naive little 18-year-old kid, like, yep, this will be great. I can do it. and just get my ass handed to me for 4 years in engineering school with the paperwork to drop out, completed that entire time, never pulled the trigger, ended up with an engineering degree. And now I don't even look at it. I don't even know where it is. It's in a box somewhere.
So when you got done school, you went into that field, project management for like a civil company or utility contractor?
Yeah. So I worked for heavy civil construction companies throughout the entirety of college. So by the time I graduated, I'd already worked for 5 different construction companies in 4 states. So I worked all through college, every summer, full time I did a summer on the railroad in California, a summer doing drilling and blasting up in Washington State. I was a laborer for 2 summers, just out in the ditch with a shovel. And then during the year, I worked in a construction office. So I already had a lot of experience throughout college, which was somewhat unique for someone my age. Got a great job managing construction work in Texas. And that was the plan, was to go do it for, I don't know, 5-10 years, go save up some money, maybe turn 30 years old and say, okay, now's the time to go buy a backhoe. So that was my genius plan that didn't come to be.
So now your company is dealing with marketing for these heavier type of construction companies. Is that just because that's your background, or did you realize that there's a huge gap in that market for your services, or
It's
both?
So it's both. I just like it. I tell people I like dirt. So anything dirt related is what really gets me going. And it's an enormous market, like heavy civil construction and mining. There's so many hundreds of billions of dollars that are exchanged in that world every single year, just in this country, let alone the entire world. It really drives. It's a big driver for the economy. So we've been super disciplined to just say, this is all we do. So we've had a lot of home builders reach out. We've had a lot of commercial, GCs reach out. We've had a lot of manufacturers reach out. We have them reach out every single week, and we just automatically turn them all down because that's not what we want to do. We just want to specialize in one world and one world only. And every construction, like, we all kind of speak a similar language, but then each part of construction has its own unique dialect, I feel like, too. So home builders, totally different than civil guys. It's just not, it's like a mutual sense of respect. Like, yeah, we both bust our ass. Yeah, we're both blue collar folks, but it's a different ball game. Or you have the oil and gas guys that are totally different, or like shipping and logging. They're all these weird little worlds. So we just wanted to pick one and just become an absolute master at that world, which will allow us to grow really quickly within that world.
So you said you started your company 3 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Were you soliciting work at that point? And has that transitioned to kind of, you said that home builders are coming to you. I would assume that people within your industry are coming to you at this point too. Yeah,
we're reached out to by probably 15 companies a week right now. So we don't do any marketing. I'm a marketing company, and I tell everyone I spend $0 on marketing. It's pretty cool how we can win work. But when I started, so while I was still in college was when I started sharing pictures from all my construction experiences on social media. So before I graduated my senior year, I was already sharing construction pictures online. It was starting to get a little traction, but not a ton of traction. Then I started to run out of pictures, and I bought this drone, this little DJI drone. And so I would park my little Toyota like 2 blocks from a construction project, go fly my drone over the construction project, take all the pictures of all the construction equipment blowing and going, moving dirt, go post the pictures on the internet, go scrub the company logos off everything, and then do it again the next weekend. So I did that for probably a year before I quit. So I'd started to get decent at taking pictures on construction sites. Definitely not totally legal. It was definitely it was a gray area at the time. And then in Texas, I got even more bold. I would like find all the back roads up to all these mines, and then I'd just grab a backpack, put my drone in my backpack, go hike out to the edge of the mine, fly my drone over it, and then hope I didn't get caught and hope I didn't get in trouble for putting the pictures on the internet. And then from there, once I quit, I had to go actually legitimize myself. So that's when I started messaging people on Instagram, like messaging construction companies left and right. And the thing I realized with construction companies on the internet is when you message them, you're usually reaching the owner of the company. Like when you DM a construction company on Instagram, you're getting the owner. Even if the owner is a guy that's like, oh, I don't do social media, you bet your ass they're probably still on there. So I was able to get a direct line of communication to the owners of all these big earth moving contractors. And I would just say, hey, could I come out, just take pictures? Like, you don't even have to pay me. I just want to come out and see what you guys do. And then from there, it led to commercial engagements where they actually started to pay me.
So you kind of answered one of the questions I wanted to get to is like moving back to Arizona. You say you basically moved home and said, all right, it's time to start a company. But you had already kind of built this momentum up with sharing the content of the dirt industry.
Yeah. There was definitely a brand that existed already. And it wasn't just cold turkey.
Like you knew you were going to build a company off that, or
no, it was just, I don't know. You just start doing things. It was just for fun. I was just like, oh, I have all these dirt pictures on my phone. Well, great. Let's start sharing them. Like, this is cool. Like, and I want to go share it because no one else was doing it.
Well, I guess that's my point there is, like what was the point where you said, this is why I'm going to do this? Like, forget like forget what made you start a company out of it. I think that's kind of, you said that it's like, it just evolved from being an Instagram page to photos and then talking and then getting connected with these companies and then promoting them and then them realizing the benefit of it. But where was the aha moment where it was like, holy crap, I can make a business out of this and this is the reason I want to, like, this is my why.
So the why initially before the business was, I remember I was riding my bike home from class because I didn't even drive to school. I didn't want to pay for parking. So I'd ride my bike home and I'd listen to podcasts while I rode my bike. So I was listening to a podcast, MFCEO Project by Andy Frisella. I've listened to it since the very first episode, like religiously.
Yeah.
And he made a podcast about social media and how to use it as a tool. And I had listened to that podcast probably 5 times over because I was obsessed with, okay, this social media thing, it's so damn cool. I can go access the whole world with this damn tool on my phone that's for free. What should I do with it? Like, what's that unique story that I have to tell? What do I love that's not really being exploited right now that I think I could go take advantage of? And it just clicked while I was riding my bike home after listening to this episode for the 5th time. Holy shit. I love construction. I have all these pictures and all these experiences from my time in construction. I can go tell this story because there's not like, why aren't people looking at this world with in a positive manner? Why aren't people thinking about this as a legitimate career? Because it's such a cool place. So the why initially was just out of pure excitement for having an opportunity to just tell the story about something I loved so much. And I've loved construction and earth moving in particular since I was a small child. I had my 6th birthday party at the cat dealership. I have hundreds of pictures of me standing around construction equipment and all these stories. I had never had any detailed exposure to it because, again, my family was not in it. So it would just be driving by it, as I was driving to school with my mom. Excuse me. But so that was the initial why. And then as I just took the plunge and said, okay, now I need to make something out of this, actually create something, the why has emerged into our why for the company, make the dirt world a better place. So we're trying to create the future of the dirt world. And so the why is much bigger now. I want to be the catalyst for change in the dirt world. So all these businesses, they've done great up until this point, but the world has dramatically shifted. I think the dirt world needs to dramatically shift and adapt if there is to be a future of the dirt world. And I want to be the company that says, okay, hey guys, now's the time to go in a different direction for the sake of not only us and your companies and your people, but for the sake of society as a whole. Because again, if we're not here, society's not here. So we need to figure this out. So if you don't want to change, that's great. I'm not going to convince you otherwise. I guarantee you're going to die a slow death. But that's not my problem. I'm just going to run over here with all the companies that do get it, that want to change, that do want to be the future of the industry. And I'm going to go help them make their businesses as strong as possible. And in the process, go create the future of the whole industry. So the why has emerged to be much bigger than just my love for the story and my love for the industry. And it's emerged to like, hey, we can really be the catalyst for change in this industry.
I got a crazy question. I don't know if you're the guy to answer it, but I feel like anybody watched like the iRobot movie with Will Smith?
No.
And they have that demolition bot that it's programmed to demo the house that basically does its own thing. I feel like earth moving in general, I don't know your depth of it, but like digging a house, a footing, a foundation, whatever it is, I feel like it's so close to just being automated. where it's a program and the excavator just digs it to the depth. It's completely done. Do you have any idea how far away that is?
It's a long ways away. So there's already mines that are largely automated now. So like humans won't even be allowed onto these mines because everything's automated. But that's just running just back and forth the same route over and over and over again. It's very simple. I'm actually going out to a company called Built Robotics next week in San Francisco. They have tons of VC money and they're trying to automate smaller scale construction. But I still think it's so far off because of all the variables. It's like the machine hits a rock, then what? Or you pop a gas line that's not supposed to be there. Well, son of a bitch. Okay, what does a machine do?
I mean, doing utilities is one thing, but I feel like when there's a lot of open holes, like not saying this goes back to like we've gotten down these rabbit holes of mass produce, doing wall systems and that. But I feel like a Toll Brothers that has this massive lot that's wide open, like what's stopping them from programming this excavator to dig in the material? You've already done test pits. It's already proven the last 5 holes have been nothing but sand. You hit a rock, you just need a bigger machine. But at that point, it slows you down, but someone goes in and checks on it. I just feel like in my head, I don't like painting. You're not going to be able to automate it. There's so many things that won't be automated, but I do feel like excavation, not like utility work, because it's going to be very detailed, but just digging a hole, people won't want to do it because we're already seeing that now. And it's something that could be programmed from iRobot. I mean, stupid Will Smith movie, but in my head, it's been there ever since.
No, I do see that. And we're more on the, we want to put a 500 lot subdivision in here. So we need to go clear this entire area and go put in all the utilities and everything like that. That's the world I live on. So I'm there before the home builders get there on a massive scale. And technology is starting to make things easier. Like GPS, for example, like a lot of guys that do dig foundations and basements, they're already using 3D GPS on their machines. So they have a model that they're digging off of and they can see exactly where they need to dig and how far, how deep and where the walls come up, what the slopes look like. They already can see the entire picture.
That's in their machine.
Yeah, it's in their machine.
So no one's out in the hole with the stick.
No, so, you don't have to be out there with the grader on anymore. So you're gonna start eliminating positions. It's just a matter of time.
Sorry, Aaron. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I haven't seen the inside of the cab, but they have the GPS. It's on like the knuckle of the bucket that will then give them their depth. That way they have their stuff set up. Yeah, there's a couple of guys that have that now.
I feel like I've seen it on like bulldozers. They get the two.
Yeah.
They have the two masts.
Arm. Yeah.
I mean, it's eliminating that entry level, like we talked about the other day, where Back to the Future, when you watch the car go up to the gas station and 6 people run out to check the oil, check the wipers, tire pressure, all that entry level's gone. So like the guys that first started in the industry, like saving this industry is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you save it when the next step is elimination of the entry level?
But I mean, and that's one of the big problems is, so you're eliminating the guy in the hole checking grade for the guy up in the excavator. The problem is the best place to learn how to run the excavator is being down in the hole with the grade rod. That's the best place to, and so that's what's causing the problems. It's not so much that you're eliminating the position, because that's okay. That's how economies grow. That's how society progresses. We need to eliminate certain professions. That's just the reality of a developing world.
But what's it substituted with? Like we're finding that with construction is that you eliminate these positions and then people jump these massive gaps where, yeah, I have 10 years experience. The next guy that gets the job next to me is fresh out of college. Okay, no one's teaching all that experience. So the only way to get where you have to be is a dilution in quality or design, or basically you deal with screw ups in the tear it out mentality.
Yeah.
So
there's no good, there's no good answer to it right now, but a lot of these guys, they're realizing that a lot of them are on our side of things. Again, we're on the bigger picture side, these, 1,000-person plus companies that are doing heavy civil work. A lot of them are starting to realize that, okay, we don't just get experienced people anymore. Like an experienced pipe layer, experienced equipment operator, they don't just pop out of nowhere anymore and show up ready for work. We need to go create them. So they're starting to slow down and deliberately invest in training programs of all types, shapes, and sizes to train these people, to teach them the basic skills that they should be learning out in the field. and then turning those people into proficient people down the road. So it's a lot of, you just need to be more deliberate from a company perspective as far as training and investing in people goes now, because it's not happening on its own anymore.
I mean, I think, John, these are the type of companies that are big enough that they have an overhead that can, and the costs of these projects can bear the overhead of having a training program in place. You look at small companies like ours or residential construction, and there's just not enough there to be putting those programs into place, unless you're running a huge, massive company. Yeah. But these companies in the hundreds of millions of dollars contract and the overhead that they have already can really invest. And then, you guys are dealing with unions as well. So that there is formal training at that place too. I think it's a different animal with what you guys do than with what we do.
You're absolutely right. I just didn't know. I feel like that filters down to us. What happens in these companies is what filters down. So that's why I didn't know. I'm sure 90% of the error that happens on those sites are human error. And I was surprised that, to be honest with you, I was completely surprised that there's not more automation, set up for those, because I feel like in my head, it could be tomorrow where a cat comes out with something. It's like, you can set it and forget it. You input the drawings, here's your elevations, this machine's sitting there and it's dug. Where, I mean, it doesn't take, I feel like every time I watch someone hammer ledge, I'm like, does that have to be a human? Like, they're literally listening to whatever they are in their headphones, pushing a button, and it's just shaking the whole place. Like, that could be something that's more productive with her.
I also feel like that's where that experience comes in, whether it's, soil stability or site constraints or conditions that you're dealing with, where you still need that human, you need that perspective, and you need that human in that position to be able to, hey, this isn't the way it's supposed to be, or we need to adjust for this or compensate for that. Where that's just the machine, it doesn't understand all of those small, tiny nuances where it could just make more of a mess than it's actually.
I agree. I just didn't know what was creeping in. Like, it's like the day I realized that there's, not iRobots, but they're like the Rumbas that are the vacuums in your house. They have those for, cutting lawns. And some landscape companies have like 50 of them deployed. Like, I just didn't know how much of it's been into that industry.
It's still very new, and the thing with construction is we're very hard-headed as an industry. We don't like change, so even a lot of the great technology out there is not being very quickly adopted in construction because everyone just wants to do it the way they've always done it.
Well, I just didn't know if you saw something from Cat. Like, I don't think it's going to be people that are like the companies. I feel like, since you're seeing a lot of these machines, if Cat's deploying something that's going to be available. Because, I mean, if they sell to a mine, that's huge.
John, did you ever see the Roomba that ran over poop and then tracked it all over the house?
No.
Yeah. It's like vacuuming the house, and it runs over poop, and then it's...
Did you Google
it? Just tracks. I feel like I saw it on YouTube or something. I don't know. Facebook, maybe.
Tracks it all over the house?
Yeah, where you have one of those vacuums going all over your house, and your dog takes a crap in the house, and now your Roomba just... did 100 laps around your house tracking poop all over. I mean, that's like the small scale of the things that could go wrong.
Roomba's gonna lose like 5% stock after this podcast gets
Doubt
released.
it.
Everyone's like, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Now I wouldn't ever have a Roomba
or a dog.
Or a dog.
Well,
It'd be easier to get rid of the dog and keep a clean house.
John, I think it's interesting because it's like, you see a lot more like remote controlled things, like the vibrate, the vibrating for soil compaction. I was careful. I was trying to dance around it, but like the soil compaction vibrator,
did a great
right?
job, by the way.
I figured you guys would just go with it. And then
that's getting people out of risk, meaning
right. And then they get the hammers. It's like, I think they called Brocks or something like that.
Yeah, the little Brock robots. Well, I'm actually going to check those out this week. But like last week or the week before that, I was out at a coal mine. They run remote control dozers out there because they push into these ash ponds, these ponds that swallow up whole machines. Like, so it's just quicksand. It becomes quicksand, so it'll suck under a whole D6 Caterpillar dozer with the guy in it. And the last time it happened, it took them 7 days to get the guy out because it was so deep in there. So then they said, okay, no more people in machines.
It's
so
a
you
hard
still need
pass.
to do the machine, and it's still a guy
Nope.
sitting there with the remote control. It was actually a pretty sweet setup. I was just looking at pictures of it earlier. Sitting there in a remote control, a little ways away, doing the same thing he'd be doing from in the cab, just out of harm's way. So there is a lot of that.
I feel like that's like a second away from being automated.
That's what I mean. It's like if you can do it from a computer, like if you can do it from a screen and a remote control, it's like all now you need to do is build an algorithm that tells it what to do, like takes the hand out of it.
With the cameras, if it sees a rock, I mean, look at Tesla, everything else that's happening. I'm surprised. I feel like it's gonna be a massive leap, like in a day.
There's positions that like a dozer pushing back and forth, you can automate that. But a lot of times on job site, a dozer is going to be, okay, we need to go whack this tree down over here. And then we need to go backfill for pipe over here. And then we need to go finish grade over here. And then we need to go, oh, there's trucks that came in over here. We need to go.
Yeah, but I don't think that's not what's going to become automated.
But that's a majority of construction. So the repeatable tasks are in reality are.
Well, that can be relatable back to what I do. It's like I have the cabinet parts that are repeatable being cut on a CNC.
Yes.
And it's like the parts that need to be handmade. That's where that guy's time is dedicated, and it does help the like John said, the entry level. It's like you're losing the amount of people that can get into this industry, so you're basically you're trying to automate as much of it as possible to combat that. But to your point earlier about the best place to learn how to run an excavator is to be in the hole with the grade stick. It's like now that leap from zero experience to running an excavator is really hard.
But that's where you appreciate the skill of an operator.
Yeah.
Right.
Like when I was younger, I was probably 16, and I was at the bottom of the hole for footings, and he dug out a rock, placed everything up top. The rock started rolling, and I was too young and naive to realize I should move. And like the rock starts rolling down the hill, and I'm like, yeah, that's to me a problem. And he just kind of cast his bucket over and grabbed it. And I never really appreciated it till I got older, that I was like, that could have been a serious thing. And he just kind of, all in slow motion, kind of grabbed it, and it makes you appreciate what it is. But not having that experience of being in the hole in the vulnerable position, you don't realize that, hey, it's a serious job and you have to be good at it.
John, and knowing you for the amount of time that I've known you, I feel like it was 3 a.m. and you woke up and you were like, babe, I never told you about this time this guy saved my life. And I just thought of it right now.
I only told her about the time I got hit with a bobcat. I wasn't paying attention. The guy swung one way, and I was just standing like an idiot, and he hit me and knocked me off a wall.
It happens quick. The best example of all this, though, is probably, again, going back to Andy Frisella. They have a warehouse. They ship out goods. They've been offered to automate the warehouse hundreds of times over, and they always say no, because that's the entry-level position in their company. If they eliminate that, then there's no more entry-level position. He says some people are just going to pack boxes for 40 years. The illusion that everyone can go move up to become president of the company is totally illogical and doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're selling a false bill of goods at that point, and it makes the company more human. So like when I open up my package from them, they have a handwritten note in there from a guy who packed my box, and I feel good about doing business with that company. It's not like Amazon that's just this iron robot out to take over the world. It's just like, no, it's just a bunch of good dudes in a warehouse putting great products in boxes, sending them my way. I feel good about doing business with them.
It's like getting my underwear and it says inspected by number 22. And I'm like, dude, somebody ran their hands through
Your
this.
undies? Really? What kind of underwear are you wearing?
Me undies.
But as we start to get more and more digital, people want to do business with people at the end of the day. So sometimes automating and eliminating positions is not in the company's best interest at the same time.
Aaron, you have like I think we're all on board with that.
Yeah.
It's this huge like sway back and forth between, I would rather do business with a company that is hand packing the box because it's cool.
What's on your hands? You were working. Why were you
told
working?
I had to do touch-ups.
Look at
What
this.
is that?
It's paint.
Nick's got dirty hands.
Like
Look at
knuckle
him.
deep.
Yeah, it was paint.
Jeez. Back in the
I
saddle.
feel like my fingers don't break the way his does.
I didn't mean to
knuckles.
interrupt
This
you,
one?
but are your hands all are they sore and calloused?
No, they're good. I just been picking at the paint.
Mine are from putting Lego walls up.
Bro, you should have automated that thing.
Boy. No, I'm with.
But
honestly,
it's this back. Yeah. It is this back and forth, and it just to get my point. Like it's hard because we want to do business with that, and I want to support. You know, the good in me wants to support that entry level, and we understand that there are people in this world that might only want to be entry level or only do that task. Like they're completely fine with it, and you're absolutely right. It's illogical to think that everyone wants to grow to own their own business or be a president of the company. But the other side of it is, you're like your point earlier. It's like that's how we adapt as a society. Is we're actually eliminating these positions out of necessity, and we're all sitting here right now trying to combat that, saying we don't want to eliminate it. We actually want to make trades cool again, make this world cool again. Let's drive the interest and get people back into this industry. And we have to do, everyone's doing their part. And I think awareness is the biggest thing. And I think there is a shift, but unfortunately I don't think it will ever be at the speed that we need it to be. And it's far,
well,
I'm going to
the
use air
economy is
quotes.
making it hard. It's not slowing down. It's going 1,000 miles an hour instead of 100. And it's making I'm sure all of us can say we get 100 calls a week, and it's like turning down great work for amazing work.
Yeah.
And it's like, so that's not helping, but I think it's refreshing to hear that I brought up that point, hoping it wasn't like on the horizon that things would be automated, because it only proves the point that people should, if it is something that you love, like you love dirt. I think every kid, my son grew up knowing every single thing. He couldn't understand half the stuff going on in school, but he knew every single cat and every single excavator and the model numbers and all that stuff. And I think if that is a passion that you have as a kid, you can chase it, because from what you're saying, it's not going to run dry, because automation algorithms aren't going to take that away.
No, not even close. And I don't apply a whole lot of thought to it, because it's not. I see more job sites than most anyone in the entire country at this point. I haven't seen it out there yet, and haven't seen it even close. I mean, I talk with Cat, I talk with Komatsu, I talk with all the manufacturers. I see what they're working on. They're not getting very close, and there's only a growing demand for tradespeople. And even if we want to go automate some of the simplest tasks out there, you still have the basic fact that you have all these old guys that are coming up on retirement that are leaving the industry, and we need to fill those positions. So there's endless opportunity in this profession for anyone that wants to get into it. And you can go anywhere in this world, college degree, no college degree. It doesn't matter where you came from, who you are. All that matters is, do you bust your ass? Are you willing to work? Are you willing to do stuff that other people aren't? Because that's what pays dividends in this world. It's not a political game. It's not.
Are you sure about that? Because there's some influencers that can crush it. I don't know. I ran across you with one of your podcasts. I don't even see it up there. We talked about college, and it came across my radar, and it was such a raw, like, awesome statement. People can find your podcast, but I loved it. And I think it came around that Nick found you on this, but it was like, you were like, college? It was just you just shooting the shit with yourself. And it was an awesome recording.
Well, I'm still forming my thoughts. I'm a young guy. I don't know shit. I don't even know what I don't know.
I'm 40 and I'm still forming thoughts.
And so I'm just sharing my thoughts now as they kind of come to be. So I've realized, like, hey, actually, I don't think college is that bad of an idea, but don't think it's going to get you shit other than 4 years of figuring yourself out. Like, don't think you're going to come out of it deserving anything, because you're not. And those entitled kids that come out of college are the worst off of the whole bunch. So do it, experience life, go explore yourself, go make dumb decisions, go make good decisions, go figure out what's for you in life, and then go out and do it afterwards. That's where it really happens. My degree didn't get me very far professionally, but it allowed me to.
It gave you time to not evolve, but to sober up. It's a reality.
Well, to expect an 18-year-old kid to be like, okay, kid, You got 40 years on the clock. Go choose your career. It's kind of stupid when you think about it. You're like, no. That makes no sense at all either. But everyone's, sold this bill of goods that you get a college degree, and then that determines how successful you are in life.
That's the meal ticket.
Yeah.
Going into some of these jobs, obviously we talk about your age and things like that, but you're very well spoken, and you carry yourself in a way that you're confident in what you're saying, which is good. And I can only assume that, jumping on these job sites where you're with 1,000 people and you're 25 years old, and there's probably some resistance to kind of letting you dictate how they're going to market their company or promote their company. Do you find that at all?
No,
not at all.
Because they come to us, we don't come to them. So they come to us, which says, okay, hey, we want to tell our story. We just don't know how. And then we say, yeah, we're good at that. We can absolutely do that. And do we know everything all the time? Am I the first one to admit that I don't know what I'm doing here, but we're going to figure it out together? Absolutely, which earns us a lot of grace. But it's a very, I don't know. We're like I said, early on, it was a lot of trying to convince people of things, trying to sell them. Yes, you should market yourself for XYZ reasons.
Let's go back to one of those early conversations. What was that? Who was it, to as much information as you can divulge, and what was that conversation?
I feel like most of that conversation is with yourself. You're almost convincing yourself of what needs to happen so that you can instill that in your customers, where
exactly
you're putting all of this out there to kind of formulate a plan and go through the motions and convince yourself that this is what makes sense, and you're overselling yourself to customers. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'm sure that that's what a lot of those initial conversations were like.
Yeah, early on it was me selling me. So they were basically just buying me. They were buying this kid that holy shit, wow, he really does love this world. And I kind of see a little bit of me in him, because I was selling the business owner, the guy that had done it, which is unique part about our business. We only work with, like I said, for example, Reed Contracting in Alabama. We work with Michael Reed, the guy at the top whose name's on everything. And so I think they saw a little bit of them in me and said, all right, we'll throw this kid a little bit of money. We'll see what he can do, without any data to prove anything that I was saying whatsoever. And we're only seeing data now after 3 years of doing this, which has scared the shit out of me, because it's I hope I'm right, because there's a lot of people that have bought into this. And if I'm wrong, oh man.
Yeah. But your imaging is top notch. I mean, even from somebody that's not in the industry, there's something about the imagery that you put out there that's
sexy,
almost hypnotizing. And my question to you is, have you played, to Nick's point, the age card to your benefit? Because everything you have on your website plays you off to be a little younger and a little dumber than, not, I'm saying that in a nice way. It's I'm just kind of a goof, but it's it diffuses. And I feel like I don't know if you ever watched the How It's Made, stuff that's on History Channel and all that stuff. Same type of, mentality, very almost geek out, once you get the person talking. But there's something about the Matt Reisinger that's kind of diffusing from the situation, meaning that they're not gonna be me and be agitating and confronting,
Well, I've been able to form the thoughts I have been and form these ideas because I've had such an intimate look at all of these construction businesses. I've been able to just ask people, so what's your revenue? What's your profitability? What are your biggest problems? And they invite me into their businesses and tell me things that they would never tell anybody, because I am that kid. There's no threat. There's no threat. Yeah. I mean, I'm just a kid that loves this. So yeah, they'd tell me. And so I've gone to all these businesses, got all this information, been able to put it all together, synthesize these bigger thoughts, because I get to see so many different data points, whereas they're only immersed in one single, very large data point. I've been able to put the whole picture together and then say, okay, all right, now I think I see where we need to go. Now this is the way forward. And we're starting to create other companies based on what we've learned about these companies to solve some of those other problems. Now we're getting into HR and recruiting. And then now we're also getting into consulting, because we've learned a lot about these companies and how they operate, and they're all operating in their own silos. They want to know what everyone else is doing, and we can bring that to the table. So the age thing has been fantastic from a few I guess a few areas. That's one, is just, I'm not a threat. I can go talk to these business owners. I'm young, but I can talk to these guys because I was raised around business owners. So it's like talking to a friend's dad. I'm not intimidated by these guys, and I can meet them where they are, which I think they appreciate. So that's been one big piece of it. On the second big piece of it is my age. I don't know very much, so I'm not an expert on anything. So I've needed to rely on a lot of other really smart people to build the business. The business has not revolved around me because I'm not the guy. I'm just the guy with the vision, but I'm not the guy that actually knows how to do it. I've had to hire way smarter people than me, way more experienced people than me, and then step aside and say, okay, hey, you know what you're doing here. I don't, so you go do it. And I'm here to support you, but I haven't had the problem of, having to tame my ego and step aside and make it, it's all about me. I'm the one that's good at this. And then trying to duplicate myself. I've never been the one that's good and experienced about it. So I've had to just step aside from the very beginning. And so we've been able to scale the company very quickly as a result, I think.
So who was your first hire?
So Dan, he's been on since the very beginning, kind of like part-time. I couldn't afford him for the first year and a half or 2 years. So he was technically our first hire, but he was working just for like a very little amount of money for a very long time.
And what's he do?
So he is the opposite of me. He's the experienced guy. So he's gotten
out of the company.
He's been invaluable because he does have the 20, 30 years of sales and marketing experience that I totally lack. And then he's also a lot of times more of a peer than I am. So sometimes they want to be sold by the young kid. They want the vision, but then they also want to sit down with an older guy and like, all right, let's talk this out. So he'll go and they'll go off like he's going on a business development trip next week. I'm not going. I don't need to go. It's let him handle it. Let them have the conversations because they're more peers with one another, and he can have those conversations and do things that I could never dream of. And again, my age allows me to just step aside and let him do what he needs to do to grow the company.
So your first hire was basically somebody with a sales and marketing background?
Yeah, because I totally lacked sales.
Yeah, which was I was going to ask because I feel like going to school for one thing and then now basically getting in bed with a bunch of heavy hitters of the civil construction industry marketing their businesses. It's like, I don't know if you can just kind of make that like, I feel like Nick would do that. Like, yeah, I can handle the marketing for you guys. But they're like, you have to come to the table at that point with actual numbers and facts and experience where you can't just sell them a vision at that point. They're going to want something more.
Exactly. Like we're working with companies now that some of them are public. They're very well refined. They have lots of lawyers, and they need to see like, here's the plan. Here's how we're going to execute it. Here's the ROI. And so I'm the initial guy. I'm like, yeah, let's go do this. This is how we're going to do it. This is what we need to do. This is what the industry needs to look like. And then the other people that actually know what they're doing take over and basically say, all right, here's the plan. Here's how we're going to execute the brand. Here's how we're going to carry things out. And they're the execution piece to it. I'm more of the visionary, steering the ship, making sure the company operates, making sure everyone gets a paycheck every week. But otherwise, I'm not all that involved in operations anymore.
Are you circling back on those customers to kind of ensure that it's continuing along the path that you had initially kind of seen for that?
Yeah, no, I'm still pretty active. I mean, we're still young, so I can still touch a lot of the company. I'm starting to lose a little bit of touch with just the sake of time. But that's my role, is just talking with them and making sure that we're holding up our end of the bargain from a high end or a high level. And if we're not, I need to go solve that. But if we are, then I'll just let everything keep going as it is.
Are you typically the first point of contact for these people?
No, now Dan is typically, and now we're even talking about hiring a sales guy to start having these conversations, because so much of my time's taken up by it and so much of his time's taken up by it, and we need to go do other stuff now.
Yeah.
And our sales process is deliberately slow because we're really picky with who we do business with. We have like certain criteria that they need to meet for us to even consider working with them, regardless of how much money they want to go hand us. So it takes a lot of time to kind of figure that out before we can even talk specifics.
So how many people do you have working for you now?
We're a little over 30. So we've been able to grow pretty quickly. Next year we should be, I'm thinking, close to 100. We want to grow we grew very quickly this year. We're still carrying on that trajectory for next year, especially with these newer companies. And then from there, we want to keep it going.
And you're hiring mostly business people at this point?
It's a lot of creatives, so a lot of designers, we're expanding photography, videography, web development is a big thing, writing, and then account management. So actual management of the agency, how a marketing agency runs. And then we have recruiters, and then we're hiring for different consultant positions for our new consulting business as well.
Are there any other companies out there that are specializing kind of in the industry that you are? Or like, I guess you're capitalizing on this market. You saw kind of a hole or a weak spot in this market. Are you the only one who's really specializing in this, or do you think that you're just taking it to the next level? That's why these customers are coming to you?
No, so marketing in our world it hasn't really existed. So we've created the market, which is why we're really the only ones there. Because when you go define it, when you go make it up, you get to capitalize on that because you're the first one. So we've had to go up against some larger agencies that also do like car dealerships and laundry detergent, and they don't specialize in any one thing. They're really good, but they don't specialize and speak the language of the industry. So we've been able to beat them every single time because we can come in and actually talk to these people, like, and actually know what we're talking about in the world. But now people are starting to see what we've done and are like, man, there's some money to be made here.
Sure.
Which is fine. But I don't look to anyone. I just look at, all right, I want everything we're doing to be better than the last time we did it. So in the next video, I want it to be better than the last one. Next photos, better. Writing, websites, everything we do, I just want it to be better than what we just did. I don't want to look at anyone else. Just ignore everyone else. Just focus on us. And if we keep focused on us, keep doing as best we can, we're going to end up in a really good spot.
So what I can completely wrap my head around you doing marketing for a company who's selling equipment, materials, where you're kind of building this company and creating a brand that's desirable for other people. On the larger scale market where you're going to public bids and price-based bids, a lot of the site work, infrastructure, utility, what's the marketing look like for a company like that? Is that creating a brand that people want to come work for them? Is it just getting their name in the pot to be able to enter their bids? I'm just thinking, on our scale, we're not necessarily bidding on a million projects. So like marketing ourselves is to get our name out to the customer. I feel like on these bigger companies, it's often price based. So like whether they're well marketed or not doesn't necessarily matter.
Correct. And that's why no one's done marketing in this industry, because it's like, well, it's based on price, so we don't need to go sell ourselves to anybody. But then now they don't have people working for them. So you have to go put yourself out there and say, hey, we're a great place to work. So you're marketing to your future workforce. You're marketing to your current people. Your marketing is internal as well. It's that internal culture. It's that internal communication. It's that guiding people, here's the vision for our company. Here's why we're going in this direction. Here's your place in the company. Here's why what you do is important. Here's why you should be inspired and proud of what you do. So a lot of marketing is just to your current people. A lot of marketing is to attract new people. And then a lot of marketing too is people want to do business with a well-respected brand. So maybe all your work is low bid, but your subcontractors, they want to be working with you. That's marketing. Or your vendors, they want to be working with you. That's marketing. A lot of it isn't just price. And so you can say, the projects we get are 100% price-based, but a lot of companies that we work with, all of it is a low bid environment. And yet they're still spending on marketing, if nothing else, for the sake of inspiring their current workforce and attracting that new workforce to their business.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which I guess also makes sense as to why it has taken off for you, because I think that, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but so many of these companies probably just never considered investing money on this side of things. And now that they're like seeing, I feel like it almost lights that spark and kind of like reinvigorates their passion for what they're doing and their companies. And with you coming in, you're almost shedding this new light on their company, and they're like falling in love with it all over again. And they're like, wow, you know, what we're doing actually looks really cool, really desirable. And I'm sure that a lot of those companies have just never had that.
And that's a large part of the ROI, right? Is not, I've had this discussion. We've had our sales discussions for 2021 over the past week and a half. And so we've been talking ROI with every company owner that we work with. And they say, we're going to need to show ROI. The reality is I'm never going to be able to show them, okay, you invested X amount of dollars with me and you got Y. I'm never going to be able to do that. A lot of the ROI is that intangible feeling of, no, our company just feels better. Like our people are happier to be here. Like, and my wife, she sent me this picture the other day and she said, it looks so damn good. Like there's so many intangible points to what we're doing that add to the ROI that are beyond dollars. And all the companies we work with understand that because we choose them. Like we know that they're coming to us, and through the initial conversations, we can understand that they're not just looking for XYZ ROI. It's not just all about money. It's they understand, okay, there are intangibles to this. And there's so many cool things that happen that I could have never imagined from what we do. It's really, really remarkable, some of the cool things that happen.
Yeah, I guess you're kind of bringing that romance back to it, and you're also creating a storyline for these companies that probably never had that before.
They've never done it. So most of the companies that hire us on have zero marketing. Like they have never spent on marketing ever before. And so we're going to them, and it's a totally new investment, totally new project, completely new. And that's why they trust us. That's why we can go in with confidence, because they have no idea what they're doing. They have no preconceived notions of how it should be done. We're really the shepherd. We're really the ones guiding them through the entire process. So they just yield to our best judgment.
This is amazing. You're basically selling something that doesn't need a tangible ROI, and you're saying that your company is looking better and charging them for it. There's nobody else in your market right now. I feel like you've stepped into a pile of poop.
That's spread around the house.
Right?
Yeah, we're spreading it all over every room.
It's an ideal situation. You have very appreciative customers. This is all new to them, so it's exciting. They're spending money. They're creating and uplifting company morale. You don't necessarily need to prove by numbers that what they're investing is coming back twofold, threefold. I feel like it just makes an environment for you that your company can grow, and it's super exciting and enjoyable for you guys as well.
We still have to show return somehow. So it's not, and we still have to deliver at a very, very high level. Like they're spending a lot of money with us, so there's not much leeway as far as expectations go. We're asking for a lot of money, and with that comes very high expectations. And then at the same time, I see the opportunity in front of us, and I'm not letting it get us fat, dumb, and happy as a result. I am acting like there's someone hot on our heels, ready to go take everything from us. So we need to become even more irreplaceable and even more dominant. I don't even want people thinking they can compete with us. Like, how the hell do these guys do so much, do so well? Like, how do they do this? We can't. There's no way we can do that. I want to be that company. Like, people just look at us like, I don't know how the hell these guys do it. I don't know. And so that's why we're working so hard. That's one of my key motivators, is because I invent these little boogeymen out in the world that are trying to get me, and I need to keep running as fast as I can, or else they're gonna pounce, even though they don't really exist.
Yeah. It sounds like you've set yourself up well. It's a really cool and intriguing market that you've kind of gotten yourself into. And I worked for a utility contractor, 2 of them in college, and I just felt like there really was nothing there was nothing sexy. There was no allure going to work for these companies. It wasn't that cool. And I think that kind of creating that image and that brand around these companies would have been a better experience. It would have been more enjoyable. I think that it kind of would have gotten everyone on board to kind of almost get hype for what we're doing.
Yeah. And if you're stoked to show up at work, you're going to do a better job. You're going to be more productive. You're going to make the company more money. And then everyone wins. You win. You have a more satisfying career. You probably get a bigger paycheck. The company wins. They make more money. They're more profitable. The owner wins because they get a better product. It's a win-win-win. That's what we're trying to create here. Everyone wins. There doesn't have to be a loser here.
Yeah.
Even if we scale what you're doing way back, I think that's really what we try to share through social media, like even just us individually, where it's like, I showcase the work my team does. John showcases the work his team does. Tyler, like, him and his team. Like, it's always about promoting, but we're doing this for the interest, to gain interest, to get real feedback, to share why we do what we're doing and why we care so deeply about it. And and what you're doing is you're taking it from a grand view with a big company and bringing it down. You talk about 1,000-person company, and you're bringing it and you're delivering something from a content perspective that I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm standing in front of the D6 blade. It's like, it's so intimate. And, for me, it's like John said, like your content's so good that I'm excited to see it. So I can only imagine being on the other side of it, being like, yeah, that's my machine. Like, look how badass that looks. Yeah. And it's like, and check out the video of our company. He look at this is the mine that I'm in every single day. And it's just, I again, to scale it way back, it's like, that's so much behind what we do, even on a small scale of like promotional social media. And like, that's why I think we encourage it so much. Like, yeah, it's great for marketing and you should have brand awareness, but it's really the morale. It's like, that's what, I can only assume, that my guys, when I'm taking a photo of their work and promoting and talking about how great it is, that they probably feel pretty good about that. Where it's like, strip all of that away. And it's like, and if I ran my company with zero of that, I feel like I feel like the company wouldn't survive. Yeah. Because so much is oddly driven around that morale boost every single day, getting to see how this stuff unfolds.
And the younger generation wants more and more of that too. Cause it's like, a while back, our parents' generation, especially grandparents' generation, a job was to get a paycheck. So if they give you a paycheck, you stayed. That was it. Like, as long as they fulfilled your monetary requirements, you were set. Now we're exposed to so many opportunities in the world. We want more than that. We want to know why we're showing up. We want to be part of a team. We want to be part of something greater than ourselves, greater than just a paycheck. And so that's the opportunity that's in front of us, is we can provide that, especially as an industry, because what we do is so damn important. We just need to get that out there to the masses. A lot of other industries, they don't really have that why. It's like the financial industry. Like, what are you guys doing? I don't know. We're just here to make money. Okay. Well, and like, we're over here building someone's damn house that they come home to every single night that they're going to raise their kids in. That's pretty damn important. So there's a lot more value there than a lot of other industries. So I do believe our industry, the blue collar world in general, can heavily compete with all these other industries, taking all these people, all these great people. But it's just, it's not going to be handed to us. It's our responsibility to go tell that story. That's why I tell these companies, like, you can just sit around and bitch about how you can't find good help anymore all day long. That's not going to solve the problem. It's your problem. You're going to have to go do something about it. You're going to have to do business differently, or else don't expect anyone to come to your company one day.
You're going to have to find a way for them to find you. And this goes back to, I'm showing my age, but like back in the day when people used to go around and go, I'll build you a website so people can find you, for like restaurants and all that stuff. And people were like, what do you mean website? I don't need that. I just get word of mouth. And that is dying, because everyone's going to basically look you up first. And if like my wife doesn't have like more than 15 reviews and like 5 stars, then guess what? We're probably not eating there. Yeah. And I think that's going to, like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Let's just give it a shot. And now it's like, let me look at what everyone else is saying. So I think it's the same thing. You're finding a demographic. I'm not trying to dilute this or not give it the praise it needs, is that there's a huge market that, like, even me when I was younger, I never took photos of the before. I was so eager to get into the job and get it started and try and make some money back on it that I was like, last thing I care about is taking a photo. And over my years, I've now appreciated that. And like I said, all my clients and people are like, why are you popping a drone up? Why are you doing this? And like I was videoing the guy doing he's pinning the foundation today for one of our jobs. And I'm literally standing there just with my phone, like standing there as steady as I can. He looks at me and I'm like, client can't be here. They can't appreciate this. So I'm going to take a quick video. So just do your thing. But that's the thing, is how do you appreciate it? I mean, I'm doing it for the clients, and then flip side, it's been a huge benefit to the industry. What you're doing is people know how to move dirt. They know how to run a company. You're giving them a footprint on this earth that may evaporate unless they have some presence.
Yeah. Well, and the principles too of what we're doing with the storytelling and all that, they apply to all these. They apply to your guys' world. They apply to any other blue collar world out there. I'm seeing like truck drivers right now. It'd be the same formula. I don't want to be the one to do it. Same formula though. Pilots, a huge pilot shortage. Same principle. Like they're, shipping, railroads. There's logging. It's all the same principles in all these industries. It's all the same thing. I'm just doing it for dirt because that's what I love. And again, that makes me harder to compete with too, because, you're going to outlove me with dirt. Good luck, because I absolutely love this world. So you can't just come in. If you want to go make money, you're not going to beat me, because I'm here to stay, because I love the damn place way before I want to make $1. That's why I'm here. And sure, I want to make money at it. Do I want to make a lot of money at it? Absolutely. But that's why I'm so disciplined with staying with dirt, because that's what I love. That's me. That's what I want my company to do. That's what the opportunity I see in front of us is. That said, every other industry, like the same principles apply to anything else. We could go do this with a lot of other industries. Yours
do you
included.
think that you're going to have one of your clients' commercials on the Super Bowl within the next 5 years?
I don't see that to be unreasonable.
Dude, I feel like these companies have huge budgets. Like, I could totally see the Built Ford Tough type commercials with like these companies on the Super Bowl.
You'd be surprised. They've never spent on marketing, so their marketing budgets, even for $100 million plus companies, not that big. Yeah, they'll go drop millions of dollars on every piece of brand new equipment possible they can get their hands on. They'll buy whole fleets at the end of the year for tens of millions of dollars a lot of times. And then when it comes down to, we have 10 grand for this for marketing, they're like, absolutely not. So we do have a long ways to go, but I don't
have Super Bowl commercials.
But
don't be too humble.
Tyler, it's funny. Like what you just said, Built Ford Tough. I feel like that. I feel like that's how you kind of you elevate it, right? You bring someone in like that, where it's like Ford or Cat or Komatsu or whatever, like one of these big companies that do want that presence, and you end up partnering with them. And we're sitting here strategically planning like how to build your business, right? But I'm just thinking like that's how, like, I feel like that is, that is naturally the progression, is that you become, you somehow partner with these really large format companies, such as one of these, equipment manufacturers.
Well, but some of our worst customers have been the equipment manufacturers, because they
sponsored by Cat.
And we don't work with them anymore, and I don't want to work with them because they don't get it. They want it to be all about
the
them.
Product. Yeah.
They want it. It's just us. We're the best. Our customers, they're kicking ass because of us. Like, it's
right.
Our products that they're doing so good at their job. And my thinking is, no, screw your product. No one gives a shit about you. Just tell the customer story. What are they doing out there? Like, what's that? Oh, that generator. Oh, wow. It's the backup power for this enormous hospital that's saving all these people's lives. Great. Oh, that combine is harvesting this field that provides all these people with essential food. Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Oh, this excavator is repairing this water line that feeds this entire neighborhood with water. That's a pretty cool story. Tell those damn stories. That's the real human part of this industry that we need to focus on. We need to tell. And yet they're so consumed by them, and it's all about them. And that's not the kind of storytelling I have any interest in.
I feel like they also have an agenda, and there's so many layers of people that has to go through. It's like the podcast we just had with Icon, where he wanted to potentially partner with some bigger auto companies. Is like, by the time we got done with development, it just was not anything that we had kind of set out to do, and pulled the plug on it, because it's like their agenda and the amount of people and red tape that you have to go through. It's like what you propose in the beginning is not what it ends up with.
Yeah, and every agreement we have with all of our current partners, we have total creative control. So they come to us, hey, tell our story, but we're not going to tell you how to do it. We just want it to be told. You're the expert though. Whereas a lot of these other companies, they want to dictate, okay, we want it done this way.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like, well, your way's wrong. I don't know what to tell you, but you're not right here. And I'm not going to do it your way. Even if you want to give me money, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm trying to go make the dirt world a better place. This is the way to do it. If you don't want to do it this way, I don't know what to tell you. So we've turned down a lot of companies like that because I just have no interest in doing it their way.
That's where you have the advantage, because there's a lot of companies, even companies that I've worked with that are established and have been around for a really long time. And these bigger companies have them by the balls, and they have to play by the rules, and they have to do it their way, and they have to make, they hire them to create content, and then they're dictating what that content needs to look like. So at the end of the day, you really have no control. You're just a means to an end. But they can't tell these companies no, because they need the paycheck. They need the contract. They need the contract 2 jobs from now. So they just do what they have to make them happy. And you're young enough and dumb enough and, early on enough in your career that you can tell these people to take a hike because it doesn't matter to you. And I think that that's going to play out to your advantage long term.
Yeah. And it goes back to our mission too, making the dirt world a better place. If it doesn't align with that mission, we don't do it.
How did you come up with that mission? Did it take a really long time?
Going to a lot of construction projects. We just kind of made it up one day and have run with it. But it is simple to just have that, like, okay, this is what we're trying to do. So is this just exchanging my time for money? Is this really making the dirt world better? Or is it just a project that, wow, this is a lot of money, we should do it? And if we've turned down so much business this year alone based on, does it fulfill that requirement? And if it doesn't, we don't do it. And I don't care how big of an opportunity it really is.
Do you think that at some point things will change? Right now, this is very new to you. You're young, you're just getting into this. Is that goal, I feel like, is amazing. And I want everyone to kind of hold on to that enthusiasm and kind of live and die by that. But going forward, there's going to be things that come across your plate that are going to challenge that. And I mean, I was going to ask you, do you think that that's going to be your long term, which I don't think is fair, but more so maybe I should just tell you to try and hold on to that as long as possible, because, in the business world, and especially with your customers, there's going to be a lot of people who want to challenge that. And if you're able to kind of kick your boot heels in and dig down and not let them change things, I think that you're going to have a far more lucrative and valuable career.
Well, I told my lawyer that's this morning, one of our lawyers these days, I'm doing estate planning right now. So, what happens, who owns the company now? And, what happens if I go get hit by a bus tomorrow? Does the company survive me? And so we're planning all this stuff out. And I told him, like, this is the game. I'm going to be playing this game for the rest of my life. I don't know how I found this so early, but I found it. Like, this is it. I know for absolute certainty, I am walking down the path that I'm supposed to be walking down for the rest of my life. So I'm dead set on it. Like, this is it. There's no other place that I could imagine myself being. There's no other place I want to be. Is it always awesome? No, it sucks a lot of days, but it's very comforting to know I'm where I should be. There's no exit strategy. I'm not going to go cash out. I'm not going to go sell the company. I want the company to live far, far longer than I live. That's the whole play here. There's always going to be the dirt world. It's never going to be totally automated. We're always going to need it. And it's always going to need to be better. We're never going to be able to truly accomplish our mission. That's the great thing too, is there's always room for improvement. And so we can always have a business improving an industry that's always going to be around. And so I don't think it'll change in the grand scheme of things for the foreseeable future.
For sure.
When do you think that was immediate? Like, did you feel like you were walking down that path immediately, or was it how far into, starting this?
Probably just recently, honestly. Like, people think that it just slaps you in the face like, oh my God, yeah, this is it. I have found it. Holy smokes. And this ray of sunshine comes down like, wow, I really did it. I found it. It's just you find it by doing. Like I've seen so many construction projects. I've created so many experiences. I've met so many thousands of people. I've been on so many stupid airplanes that I've just been able to see a lot of the industry and inform my thoughts and create this bigger picture and envision this bigger path for myself to then know that, okay, I think I have figured it out as far as like where the direction I need to run in, and I'm going to run as fast as I can that direction now. But it didn't come to me like it wasn't on day one I started the company like, yep, this is it. I just discovered it through just kind of doing the next thing that I thought was best. And along the way, you
seeing
kind of
the success in that, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we've talked about like your business and kind of what it does, but what about for those that are listening that want to be in this industry? Like what advice can you give to them? Because I feel like obviously you're talking about HR and placement and helping get these people into the workforce, but I know for like just based on who I know in our industry, it's like there's guys out there that genuinely love the dirt world and they don't feel like it's a career that they can get into or, you know, get into and sustain a lifelong term there.
And so one of the problems of the dirt world in a lot of blue collar industries, again, it's not exclusive to the dirt world, is that there's no easy pathway. So college, everyone goes to college because it is easy. You apply, they tell you how to apply, they tell you how to go get as much debt as you need, they tell you what classes to take, they give you the companies to go work for after school at the career fair. Everything is done for you. Blue collar world, not the case. You have to go take initiative and somewhat make it happen on your own, which is something that we're going to try to be better at. We're creating businesses to somewhat create a pathway.
My first interview was on the back of a tailgate.
And that's how
it couldn't have been any easier.
Well, but you had to take initiative to make that situation even happen. And so it's
in applying for college,
because it's just the accepted thing to do. It's just,
but it doesn't take initiative
everyone else is doing
to
it.
Apply to a college.
What was that?
It doesn't take initiative to apply to a certain college to figure out what it is that you're going to be for a career.
It doesn't when everyone else is doing it, because it's just the accepted thing to do. So when everyone's doing it, yeah, it does take initiative, but you don't really have to think differently than everyone else. You
find the loan. I just think we're underestimating how easy it is to go to college. I'm not on that side at all. I just know it wasn't easy for me. And it was way easier for me to stop cutting lawns and look into this industry a little deeper, which took 2 seconds, and I had drive and do it. I think that we're slightly underestimating the amount of drive people have today. Like, I'm trying to figure out on a daily basis how my 13-year-old keeps the drive that he has for sports to a career. Like, I was never taught certain things when I was younger, that M&Ms had a certain serving size, and it wasn't just one serving, but
that they're all
bag.
The same flavor regardless of color.
But it's true. But like certain things like that, like serving size, like credit cards, balancing checkbooks, all that stuff. And no one teaches you. There's no parent out there telling you, you have a couple options here. Go to college, don't go to college, find a career, but how do you feed a passion? It's more, how are you going to make a living that is something that's going to be a long-term thing? That's what everyone's worried about. Like, that's why I feel like when I first started dating, there were certain parents that were like, oh, he's a carpenter. Like, it wasn't like, and I felt like that forever, that he's not a lawyer, he's not this, that his income could fluctuate. And it did for a long time. It's not an easy thing. The easy part isn't the entry level. I think we talk about, like Tyler, like, you don't need a license to be a contractor in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I think the entry is actually quite easy. It's the problem is how do you make a living that's going to be sustainable for a long amount of time that you can raise a family on? That's the question at hand.
I agree with that. I also feel as though, like, if you had the choice between college and going into the trades, that you would probably be faced with more resistance to tell whether your family, friends, guidance counselor that you wanted to go into the trades right now rather than go to college.
What I mean by like ease
The
of
path of
getting
less
into
resistance.
Yeah, like I feel like it's more accepted today to just go to college because that's what you're supposed to do. Like I feel like most people and societally we're making it harder for people to get into the trades because it's looked down upon and it's not a viable career path to raise a family and, you know, for long-term success. And I think that residential construction sectors is slightly different than commercial or infrastructure or utility work, heavy civil stuff. But I think that it almost is like the rebellious thing to do now, again, to join the trades. Like I feel like it was years ago and then everyone went to school, and now like if you don't go to school, you're rebelling. But I feel like you would have more resistance.
It's trending that way.
Yeah, like I feel like you would have more resistance from friends, family, school, teachers if you were like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to college. I'm going to go join the union, or I'm going to go train under somebody to be a carpenter, a tile setter, a drywaller, whatever it may be.
It was even weird. Like I remembered I toyed with taking a year off because like to go to like juniors for hockey, you had to take a year off, and everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
Like you were like going to be that bum that just his hair grows out and it's just a train wreck. And I was
You're
like,
going to go travel the world in like socks.
Now it's like a thing. Like I remember my wife when she worked for a civil engineer company a couple years ago, and she's like, oh, we're losing an employee. I'm like, where are they going? She's traveling the world. And it's like, really? Where was that option to check off that box? Like, I'm just going to go boogie.
Yeah.
I think people get lost in the like college or blue collar trades type discussion. And I really don't think it's either or. Cause it's like, well, I went to college. I'm still here. And so if you want to go to college, like I've told people, go to college, go explore, go figure your shit out. Still think about the blue collar world though afterwards. You can't, it's not like, oh, well, you have a degree. Sorry, can't be a carpenter. Nope. Like, yeah, you have that econ degree. Not going to work here, bud. As long as you go to college with and maintain a sense of humility, still go explore the blue collar world. And the way I did it was I just called the owner of a construction company, asked for a job. Every single owner of every single construction company right now would, if someone called them, just a young, hungry kid, and said, can I have a job? No one would say no.
I would.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, what you're saying, I totally agree with. But
I'm not
we don't have time
contradicting you.
we don't have
I just
time to
don't
train.
hire people.
Well, I'm talking like a company that has
I know.
hires people, but the owners of these companies, like I've asked them the question, if a kid 18, 22 came to your office and, hey, can I have a job? Can I pick up a shovel? Can I just get in the ditch? They said, absolutely. We'd hire him 10 out of 10 times.
Well, I think that's what
Just
John's
creating the
saying is that side of it, it's the entry level is easy, but it's getting
If you
them
have any drive at all. And if you have drive at all, you'll be successful in any field.
Right, but the problem is the reason I think the lack of drive. It's like, all right, well, that's fine. I'm fine. I'm happy to come in and bust my ass and be the kid with the shovel. But what's my step? What's the next step from there? Because if I go do this
for the next 8 years,
yeah, if I go do this, I can make six figures in 3 years. If I'm doing this and I'm making half that in 3 years, like, well, why wouldn't I go do that? And it's hard to picture. But it's hard to play it's hard to play the whole fulfillment game where it's like, yeah, I'll feel more fulfilled here, but the society and the economy doesn't
financially stable.
Yeah, it doesn't allow me to actually live a decent life and get married, have kids, blah 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 blah.
But the blue collar people I know that are in their 20s are making a hell of a lot more than majority of my friends.
I'm not arguing that.
We're not arguing that.
I'm not arguing that at all. But it's the fact that that's not communicated.
Yes.
And it's okay. That's fine. Hey, that plumber, yeah, he makes $150,000 a year. How? Like, how do I become him? He's going to tell me that I'm the laborer and I'm going to be, humping pipe back and forth for, however long. Like, what's the path? And, unfortunately, I think in this, at least I'm speaking to our industry, it's like the only way to get to that level fast is by owning your own business and hoping that you're successful at it.
Like, I had a conversation today with a kid, and 2 points here. I have a site guy that we basically give first dibs to everything. And Wellesley everything that we do, which is a lot of work, he can't find an operator. Like literally, he can't find a guy that will show up and operate a machine. And I was trying to tap into, I've got this kind of core group of kids that are like early 20s that have been absolutely killing it, whether it's driving Zambonis for my other buddy or that. No one's willing to get their license and want to be an operator. They want to be an owner. And then the other guy I talked to today was like, I'm a millennial. Like he works for Toll Brothers and he's like, I'm a millennial. I want to run everything in 2 years. That's just how it goes. Like that's the expectation. So like I grew up and I was cool with the next 15 years working to get the experience.
Right.
And that's gone. That's obliterated to like 2 years. Like that's ratchet down. Like how do you get somebody that's going to learn how to do, that's willing to like literally that you have to call labor source for someone to flatten and rake the bottom of the hole because they don't have any laborers for the site crew.
But I think
it's crazy.
We're also looking at it from a residential construction perspective where what Aaron's dealing with is completely different, and dealing with unions and pay grade and benefits and these bigger companies. Like point of entry is a higher payroll. The cap, is going to be much higher than a residential contractor. That's why these companies are so big. So it's not like what we're looking at where, hey, it's easy to get into our industry and you can become an owner and make 150 grand. Like there's hundreds and hundreds of people in these companies that are making 150 grand and they're not owning, and maybe they're a project manager and everything else. So it's a different beast that we just have to ensure that it's apples to apples at this point. Our industry and the perspective that we have is going to be completely different than these larger companies.
When you guys are so fragmented, it just it's a whole other set of problems. It's same principles. I really do think a lot of the same things apply, but you guys are so fragmented that, some of the companies that we work with are 50 people, but even that's a really small, heavy civil construction company in the grand scheme of things. There's some companies that have 20,000 people. And it is a different ball game.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I know looking at it, I've kind of seen into some of both on a small scale, but I just think, even my neighbor, he's a project manager for a union electrical contractor where they do large, like switch gears, hospital work, big, he's not wiring outlets. And like the pay scale and the pay structure for somebody like him is completely different, even benefits, company vehicles, vacation time, insurance, because it's that larger company is completely different than an electrician or a project manager who's running residential electrical projects. It's just, they're two different things.
And region, you can go to Chicago and guys make $70 an hour, and then you can go down to Indiana, parts of Indiana, and they make 20. So it really varies state by state and region by region too.
But I don't think, as the John said, I think that the barrier to entry is low. I think for our industry, even though there's that low point of entry, but there's also a really low ceiling for what you can make coming into residential, unless you go off on your own or you find a bigger residential company that can kind of let you loose and can kind of bear the overhead of a higher expense, or you're selling high-end work and you have a higher dollar value for work.
I think the meat and potatoes of the whole thing is how do you have not that financial stability, but also retirement?
Yeah.
I think when your parents look at, what job do you have? Does it have that 401k? Does it have all that? I had this talk with my whole team today. It's like, I don't have that. I don't. I always thought that there'd be this windfall that I'd buy a property and I'd sell it for some big gain. And I've been chasing that my whole life. And then you run a company and it's like, my goal now is to be a leader and eat last. And it's like, I want to have a company that runs a tight ship that makes good money. And I went across the line and I was like, John, I know you want to put an addition on your house. I want to make sure that's a bonus for you in the future. Trevor's selling his house. I want you to have enough to buy the next house. Ryan wants to buy his first house. I want to make all that happen for all you guys. Hands down. but I need you to help support this company and make things happen, and not just, there's no drive. It's like my son, I came home and it was snowing on Thursday or Friday, whatever it was. And I was like, hey, nice job shoveling the driveway. You've been home all day, you remote school. You didn't ask me to. Guess what? You're like every fucking employee I have. All right. I don't want to have to tell you that I need stuff done. That's the problem with everybody in this entire goddamn world, that it's like, well, I wasn't told. Guess what? I was never told half the stuff I do on a daily basis my entire life. I sniffed it out. I tried to anticipate it, and I made it happen.
Do you think that your guys would work any differently had they known that garage was coming versus like we're completely oblivious to it?
Sounds like we're going to find out.
I don't know.
Now that they know.
I feel like the thing was, I always wanted to make that next plateau, that I was worth whatever raise it was. Whatever, like, I listen to every little thing that people say. It's like that's why I'm so against like Nick going, hey, I do a survey with my employees. It's like, I'm fucked at that point. Like, I wasn't paying attention enough that it needs to be written out for me in a multiple option survey. And like, I wanted those guys to know that I listened to their little things, that, hey, this is one of my wants. It's like, well, how do I make that happen for you? That's my job as an employer. And it's like, I don't know, Tyler. It was never on my docket that I had a dream, but it's like, I would work harder so I get a raise to make that happen. And today was more of a talk that, like, I want you all to have that, but unless you take more off my plate, take it. Physically take it. Not be like, hey, here's my 6 things I want taken away from me this week, and you guys divvy it up. Is that without asking, you get your stuff done and you do the next part and you take something else off my plate. Those things don't happen. And I said, my biggest goal right now is to have profit sharing, so you guys feel the ding when you guys screw up for 10 grand and you don't get the $1,000 bonus, because otherwise it's irrelevant to you.
Well, and that's good leadership is like, again, not expecting everyone to have that motivation. A lot of it is on you, especially in my own company. Everyone's sense of urgency and motivation and drive is a lot of my responsibility. I need to go instill that into the business, instill that into the culture, instill that when people come in, train it a lot of times, and just create a culture in which that's just the way we operate. So that's why I get so pissed when I have to go deal with these like in this real estate deal that we just did for our new office. It just went so goddamn slow. The whole process. No one's urgent. No one's executing with any kind of urgency.
That could have benefited you with COVID. Now you're working from home. That's a slam dunk.
Well, no, I'm going in the opposite direction. We've been working from home for 3 years. I'm going to an office because there's a lot of advantages to it. But and then I come back to our company and we're just blowing and going. I mean, we're just hammering shit out left and right. That's just how we operate, because that's just the temperature at which we've created our business and instilled. That's the sense of urgency that I have, that I've instilled in these people. Like, hey, we don't have all this time. We need to go execute as quickly as we possibly can. So that's where I view it as my responsibility as a leader to go. Sometimes people, they just haven't been taught how to be urgent, how to execute more efficiently, how to have more drive. Something you can hire for it. And we try to hire for it and find those people to begin with. But a lot of times they just haven't been taught. So you need to teach them, you need to train them up on how to just be driven in the first place, how to go after things, how to be more confident, self-confident. And then as you grow as a company, you start to just create that culture that breeds that on its own.
So what's the reward? Like, I had a kid I coached lacrosse with. It was 5-year-olds, and we're playing this game at the end of the year, and he comes up to me and goes, hey, so where are the medals? And I was like, there are no medals. You're in like 4th grade lacrosse. And his mom, he went over to his mom, told him what I just said, and they left.
What?
Like, there was no goal for it. Like, there was no love for the game. It was like, I was told I get to play in these 2 games at the end of the season, and there's some sort of a medal or reward. So that sense of urgency I feel like there is a demographic that understands it and gets it. But there is a huge gap that it's me being colorblind. They're oblivious to it. So how are you vetting that when people come on board, that they have it? They have like,
It's a
are they
lot-
shaking? Are they jittery? You ask them if they're on Adderall. How's it work?
No, it's really just being honest with people, basically saying like, this is how we operate. So just brutally honest. If you don't want to be in a position like this, if you don't want to operate at this level, we're not the best place for you. If you're looking to just hang out, you want to work your 40 and go home and have a good salary, that's not it. So a lot of it is just being very frank with people. Like, this is how we run. And if you're not down for that, then don't take the job, because it's not the best thing for us. It's not the best thing for you. And we test people out. So our business is unique. We can use people as like part-time contractors, put them in real world scenarios that they would be in as a full-time member of our team. And if they perform well, okay, great. We should evaluate bringing them on full-time. If they don't perform well, we get them off the boat. We avoid making a full-time hire mistake. So we're able to test people out in real world scenarios as well to just see, all right, what are they made of? And if they do have potential, we just want to, one of our values is hire and develop 3X people. So even if they just have the potential to be that 3 times person, and they don't need to be that 3 times person coming in, maybe they just have the potential, maybe they need some training, maybe they need some time, maybe they need some mentorship. We can provide that and we can create that, because we're not going to be able to just hire all the 3X people we need. That's irrational. We need to develop those people. It's our responsibility to do so.
John, do you ever think that you want more for your employees than they want for themselves?
Yeah,
That's a great question. They told me what they wanted without telling me.
But
You get me? They were just talking about what they needed, blah, blah. I think,
yeah, but like, so then I feel like you're then taking, like, maybe they want to earn that in some way, shape, or form, but it's not necessarily the way that you're thinking of getting that to them. And like, I think that I do the same thing a lot of times, where I want to put somebody in a position where they don't necessarily want to be, because that's how I would want it to have been for myself. Or looking at myself, I wanted this, or I never had this opportunity, or I want this for these people. And that's not how they see that storyline playing out in their head. And I feel like we set ourselves up for disappointment, because they're not necessarily 100% on board with the plan that we created for them.
Well, not everyone's motivated by the same way either. So the way you're motivated sometimes is not going to create motivation in another person. Like a lot of like us, we probably do better when we're backed into a corner, because now, all right, I have no choice but to fight my way out. Some people, you back them into a corner, they just panic. They don't know what to do. That's not their source of motivation. They need to be safe. They need to feel like, okay, I'm okay being here. Now I can go act. And it's there's no right formula. So it's not like I just try to motivate people just with money. If you do well, you get more money. Okay, great. Yeah, we do that. But I also share company financial information. Hey, you're not just making more money, but look at what the company's doing financially. This is fucking awesome. We can go celebrate this as a team, or just giving someone a compliment. Hey, you really went above and beyond there. I really appreciate that. Or, hey, I heard this feedback from one of our customers. They said this about your work, and just share that feedback. Give them a pat on the back, or, hey, this new office, this is what we did together. This is what we're accomplishing. Or this guy, he stopped me from his bulldozer and says he's there because of BuildWitt. You did that. That's absolutely awesome. So it's motivating people. I try to motivate people from different angles, because not everyone's the same, and it's not just about money. It's about a lot of different things that we're trying to all make happen.
I often feel like I put pressure on people that they just don't want for themselves. And like, I don't know, I can compare it to myself, or even, John, in your situation, where it's like, I want to be able to support him to buy this house or to afford this addition. And maybe deep down, he's like, actually, I don't really want that, because then I feel like I owe him this, or I owe him that, or I have to put in the extra 8 hours, or I have to stay after and I have to sweep that street. You don't ever really know how that person sees that playing out. And I know that I've done it. I know that I've done it with past employees, where I like try to put them in a position that I think they want, and I put everything into place to kind of motivate them to step up, and they just fall flat on their face because it's either too much pressure, it was too fast, it wasn't really what they wanted, or they just, they didn't want to stay late. They didn't want to think for themselves. They just wanted to show up and go through the motions, and they didn't want to pull stuff off my plate. Like, a lot of people tell me they want to pull stuff off my plate for the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, couple months. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. And then when you get into it and that honeymoon romance is over, what are they doing? Are they still wanting to pull that stuff off your plate? Do they still want to make your life easier?
You brought up a great point. And I think you're right. And I think there's two things here. One, I shot myself in the foot because we've tried to pledge to a point where we don't want to have any turnover. That we've committed to everybody as much as they committed to us, and that we'll find a place for them. But today was a conversation of that. Today's like the 3-year anniversary of Vintage, and it's like,
really, that went fast.
Congrats
for you.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
No, you're right, and it's. But the fact is like, if I want that for people, and I also don't want them to have the burden, Tyler, of like I have. I've been promised a lot over the years. I've been promised companies, and I worked so much harder, and I gave up time with my family, and that I'll never get back with my kids. And I never want to take that away from my employees. I want them, like today was like, hey, is there any products that we're not doing that you guys want, that you guys really want to pour your passion into? If there are, let us know, and we will make that happen. And just to kind of open up, I gave you guys the aggressive portion of it, but it was more of like, we put a lot into this. Like, we didn't take Christmas bonuses last year to make sure everyone was solid, and we want to make sure everyone was good. You can't build anything without a team, and you can't have a support system without your team and the family around it. And that's what these guys give us. They give me the luxury of getting more done because my eyes are bigger than my stomach, and when clients come calling that they're the right ones, I can't say no to them. And this conversation today was like, I would be fine with 2 products and I named 2 of them off and wiping everybody out. And this is why this conversation happens between Ben and myself every 2 weeks, and that's going to boil to a point that it pops off. And this is why we're having this meeting.
Do you think? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that was where we had it.
Because I don't know your employees, and I don't want to speak for anyone, but I feel like there's, in our industry, in life, there's a lot of people who just, even if they're passionate about something, they don't necessarily have the drive or the desire that you or I have, that Nick has, that Aaron has, where sometimes they just want somebody to tell them what to do. They want you to soft toss them, lob them that,
Do I look like a soft toss?
No, but
guy?
There's a lot of people who want that.
He's like, you know what? I come in aggressive. My steam. I don't throttle down. I just go hard to the stop sign and glide through it.
But you set jobs up for people, like we were talking the other day, where they had to show up pretty much. That was it. Everything was set up for them. You're soft tossing them these basically home runs, and a lot of people just want that. And no matter what you do or what you set up or what you incentivize for these people, that at the end of the day, they still want that soft toss. They don't want that much responsibility. And I don't think that we're going to change them.
Today was the point of basically put everyone on notice. It was that, hey, you know what? We're going to do this because, okay, we've gone into this business where, I don't want to be searching for salaries and payroll. None of us do.
Yeah.
That's our biggest worry is that, hey, I won't make payroll. So yeah, we've seen more of the people we've hired than what's on their resume, that we can teach it, we can educate it, we can get them there. And that's been a benefit to our payroll. And there's a point now where it's like I think everyone I've ever talked to is like, well, you know what? I had this point in my life where it's like, I got to pay someone more than I pay myself. And that's where my company grew. And it's like, you know what? I'm ready to do that. There's enough work in the pipeline that I'll pay this amount of money, because guess what? For my entire life, the burden's been on me as an employee, meaning, hey, I used to hate when people gave me a raise because I felt like there was more of a burden. I had to do more. That was just the way I was. and I would never ask for money, and they'd give it to you, and you're like, all right, now I got to do more. So we've been in a position now where we've paid guys, a good amount of money for their stuff, but they have to learn. So it's like, all right, well, I make excuses for them. Well, they didn't get that done. Well, you know what? Well, they're not totally qualified for that, and they make X amount of dollars. And now I'm at the point where, like, you know what? I'll throw $100,000 at a guy. Okay. Guess what? It's 100% on them. So make it happen. This is on you. You own this. You have the experience. You're getting paid. You're getting the truck. You're getting the laptop. You're getting the phone. You're getting everything. So guess what? Fuck you. Get it done. I don't care if it's midnight on Friday. I don't get the call, because right now I do. So there's going to be
you really think that's going to be solved by paying someone more money?
No. But mentally, the burden's now on them, because their experience level, I'm going to tell you it is. You can shake your head all you want. No one can see that. But I'm telling you right now that personally, the layer of work I have for the guys I have, the experience level is a little higher. And that stuff, it's basically, I can vet through it where before I wasn't comfortable doing, because I didn't want to be a slave to payroll. And now I'm going to be comfortable doing that.
Okay.
So who's showing up for work tomorrow?
We'll find
John.
out, won't we?
John's going to be like, so where is everyone?
I get it. If I gave them a shitty job and shitty jobs to work on, I get it that maybe I'm probably burdening them with too much. But, we've soft tossed it for 2 years, Tyler.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've had health issues. I've had everything else. Don't get a bonus. Every time I turn around, I got to buy another truck for somebody else, or do service, or give somebody else a bump because it's about that time. And it's just, I don't want to keep going down that road for the next 3 years, and then 6 years in be like, well, we're almost there. It's, there's a ton of Nick, to your point, one of my comments today was, we solicited for a PM. We got so many great people that are frustrated in their job, that don't have the environment that we give, the drive that we have, that their employer has more drive than what they're willing to give. That's not always the case. To Aaron's point, it's like, I'm going to go 100 miles an hour. I'm not going to sleep. You got a whole podcast studio at your house. Like that's because, you're doing voiceovers, everything else. It's like, how do you keep that same drive? But then once they get into it and realize, like to Tyler's point, they want that. They really, really want it. Then they get into it and go, wait a minute, I can't keep up with the current. You know what? I can't tread water for 12 hours like I thought I could. Like Tyler can, without ever having a flinch. And it's the reality of it. And we've never told our guys that, hey, guess what? After all the screw ups, after everything else is all said and done, after all the products that we had to get because we were starting the company and they lasted longer than they wanted to be, there's no more excuses. The budgets are there. The products are there. The kind of architect's details, there's no more excuses. So now guess what? We've eliminated all those. Now I got to turn to you guys and let you know that there's no more excuses you guys can turn to. And it's 100% in you guys. And we've got a great boatload of opportunities of people that want to join us that we're going to have to take advantage of and at least give a shot if this is going to continue.
And I think that that's where you'll start to see everyone's true character at this point. If you stand by this and you don't go back to your ways of soft tossing them when they don't perform, or picking up the slack when you feel like they're not performing or they're going to fail, or covering their tracks, or making it right for the customers to kind of ease over all of that, I think that the issues or somebody stepping up and proving themselves, I think that it'll start to kind of show itself at this point, as long as you don't do that. Because I could very well see you like 2 days from now just like doing everything that you've done for the past 20 years.
We've tried to build that ownership into our business too, by giving people the ability to make their own decisions. And a lot of times they'll come to me to make their decision, and I just turn it back on them. Well, what do you think? Well, I think this, X, Y, Z. Well, why are we having this conversation? Why are you asking me? You already knew what to do. They make the decision. Everything's on them. It's not on me. It's on them. So but it's scary to give as an owner leader, give people that rope to potentially hang themselves because, you probably already know the answer. Well, I would just do this. But you have to give people the opportunity to take ownership of the situation itself, even when they might go fuck it up.
Well, what about
what's
about
that
if
mean to you?
You're giving them the rope to hang themselves, but what about giving them that leash to be hanging you? That's my concern. That like it's not just them basically sacrificing themselves or bringing themselves down. That's now your name, your company, your brand
100%.
that they're bringing down as well.
Like, what's the worst that happens to you? That you have to refilm something that day? Like, tell me.
Someone could get killed. We're out on mine sites. I mean, it's no different than what you guys are doing. We're
So that question was like, hey, do I stand underneath the tire to get this shot? And you were like, what's the best shot here?
No, it's not like that. I mean, but we're in charge of now public companies' brands, for example. So you don't execute on one thing right, you're in trouble. Or we go lose a contract because someone screws something up. Payroll's pretty tight right now. I don't have $150,000 laying around if we go lose a contract to go just make up. So, but I guess I'm okay with allowing them to make the decisions because I've told them, just do the right thing. I will be behind you 110%. If you're doing the right thing, I would rather you screw up when doing the right thing and you made the decision on your own because you thought that was the right call. I'll be behind you 110% as long as you're doing the right thing. And so that's what I've made very clear from the beginning. Just do the right thing.
So
And
besides
it's not
the
like
extreme of someone dying, what's the worst that can happen with that decision making? This is why I have a calibration of what it is.
like I said, they could go piss off a customer. We go lose a customer, for example, which is a lot of money. We go screw up someone's brand publicly. We go get a company sued for publishing.
You're going to go through final edits. It's not going to get to that point, right?
No, I don't see most of what we do anymore. It's just we want to execute faster than that. Does it get us in trouble a bunch? Yeah, but
so you're willing to give up quality?
No,
for speed.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh,
no,
how dare you? It's like fucking bad words in this podcast.
Well, but we're doing something new, so we have to learn by doing to learn how to do it in the first place. We're not doing something that we've done 100 times and we know how to do it. There's only one way to figure it out, and that's just do it. And okay, we screwed it up. Okay, let's not make that mistake the next time around. And you create the quality through doing it repeatedly over and over and over again and making those mistakes. But I've told everyone, like, make your own damn decisions. As long as you're doing the right thing, what you genuinely believe is right, we're never going to have a single problem. The moment you do something wrong, when you knew it was the wrong thing to do, we're going to have one hell of a problem. You're not going to be here anymore. When you draw that line in the sand, people understand pretty quickly what they should and shouldn't be doing. At least I found in our business.
Uh-oh, I have a new version of Java available. What the heck's going on?
I got a massive echo on my end.
Same. Is it any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Still, I feel like I still have an echo.
Yeah, same.
You guys all sound good to me.
It's just Tyler.
I appreciate that.
No, it's you too.
Yeah.
I hear you.
That better?
Nope.
It's still there.
What the hey?
Is it it's probably, I would imagine, something on your end, Nick, that's like playing back into some come unplugged.
No.
Hey,
Testing. Is that still doing it?
No, you sound good.
Hey, that sounds better. Yeah, that's
it's
better.
gone. Yeah.
That's
gone.
weird. Okay.
So
What'd you
weird.
do?
Push the mic cable in harder.
Oh. Yeah, that's. I feel like I can still hear it.
Yeah, it's back.
It's back.
What the hell?
Where'd you come from? Wait, that's better. Nope, it's back. Nice V-neck again. 2 weeks. 2 weeks with the deep V.
Thanks, bro. I'm working out my chest. I don't know what's going on here. Hold on. Maybe I cross wires or something? Is that better?
No.
Get back to the office at some point too.
Get worse.
All right. Test.
It's probably recording fine.
Yeah. No, it
Everything
sounds better
good on
now.
my end. Yeah.
All right. All right, Aaron. So, last thing I wanted to add. Whoa,
It's weird.
that's a loud echo. Hold on.
I haven't heard any of it.
Yeah, it's bad on when Nick's talking.
Is that better? No.
It's bad. I mean, I hear it when you talk, but I don't hear anything when I'm talking.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. 1 1 1 1.
It's on your guys' end. I don't hear anything. You all sound good.
All right, I'm just gonna ask. So, Aaron, the last thing I want to ask is, from obviously building content for these companies and kind of going back to something I had said earlier on was, what would be a strategic approach for anyone that wants to kind of really build upon their company? And, in doing it like personally, like if, say I was new to the game and I wanted to, start really ramping the social media or the content up, with being so immersed in it and working with so many different companies and seeing what it works, and you're working so quickly and learning, and you're getting into consulting and all these things, like what is something that you truly believe is, let's call it the golden nugget behind what you guys do for companies like this?
It's to me, it's easy because we've been doing it for so long and it's just so simple. It's just tell your story. Like, don't try to do anyone else's story. Just tell people what you're doing day to day, why you're doing it, how you're doing it. Share the good, share the bad, share everything about it, make it as authentic as possible, and just put it out in the world. So for you guys, I mean, it's just documenting, well, what am I doing today? Why am I doing it? How am I doing it? Put that information out there. Tell that unique story. I feel like people follow us because we have such a unique story. We just do our thing. We're not trying to do anyone else. We're just trying to do us. And the more authentically you can do you, whether it be an individual or a company, I think the more people are going to follow along and want to be a part of that, however they want to be a part of it. So it's just really, it's so simple. It's just show people what's going on, educate people, provide value. Don't just make it all about you. Provide value, educate people, entertain people, inspire people. You can, every single post I put on the internet, I'm trying to provide value in some form, whether it just be entertainment, whether it just be education, educating people, whether it be inspiring people. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but it's all about just telling a real story. That's it. No frills, no nonsense. Very, very simple. And do it consistently. You can't just do it once and expect everything to magically appear. You need to be doing it every single day. And it's a skill. The more you do it, the better you become at it. The only way you can get better at it is by practicing. And so I feel like that's where we've got to where we are, is just telling that real authentic story almost daily.
Yeah. I mean, that's aligned with kind of where we're at, what we've promoted and shared as well, is like, just be consistent and just document. Just share share the process and what you're doing, the value in which you bring your clients, what makes you tick, what makes you different, what makes you unique, and and really just, like you said, be authentic. So it's cool to hear that it's aligned, and obviously we've seen your content, and anyone that hasn't can obviously find your stuff on Build Witt on Instagram and Build Witt on the website, WITT. But you guys capture the dirt industry in a really cool light, and it's cool to see other parts of the construction industry under a spotlight. And it'll be interesting to see how that kind of unfolds. Like you said, some other people realizing that there's a market here and there's money to be made, and whether it's the logging industry or, I mean, shit, I'd love to follow along with the oil guys. I think those guys are psychos.
That's
like in the best way, right?
Yeah.
And just
You
to
better
see
watch
someone
your back saying that.
You're probably right. They'll tie me up to one of those things. But watching them work, it's just like this. It's this mechanical, like, unison of just motions, and it's just, I don't know. It's really, it's kind of mesmerizing to watch. So like I said, it's cool to see other people in this industry putting a spotlight on it, which continues to drive interest, which hopefully will continue to improve the skills issue.
Making a little bit of progress, but we still got a long ways to go.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I appreciate you being on, man. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
So I know I said it, but if anyone's interested, take a quick minute to give yourself a plug. I know you get a podcast and everything like that.
Yeah, the best place, Build Witt on Instagram, BUILDWITT. I'm on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a big moneymaker for us. You highly recommend it for any business owner. As Aaron Witt, WITT, and then Dirt Talk podcast on any podcast platform. It's just called Dirt Talk, or you could search Build Witt. You'll find it. It's actually been going very well. We're 40 episodes now, still going strong, one a week, and having a lot of fun with that.
When you guys release?
If somebody messages your Instagram, are they getting a hold of the owner?
Yes. Yep. Are they always going to get a response? I don't know. I try to get back to everybody, but it's a lot. And tough, I just, yeah.
Hey, you answered me and you're on here, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, so check it out. Dirty Talk.
Don't search Dirty Talk. That was an oversight on my part, but we're rolling with it. Yeah, you're going to get some different things when you search Dirty Talk.
Love it.
At least
Awesome,
I have an
man.
excuse now when Rachel's like, what were you doing? It's like, I swear I was just looking up a podcast. Who the heck's Frank Lewan?
No idea.
I feel like that was a very specific name drop.
No, look at this. It's coming up on the audio.
Yeah, I see him too.
Oh.
Yeah, they're very specific.
All right, Aaron.
Thanks,
Be
man.
well, man. We'll be in
Thanks,
touch,
guys.
and we'll talk soon.
I appreciate it.
Take care.
See ya.
See ya.
We don't have any new reviews this week, but we have two that I didn't read last week, so I'm going to read those. Is that cool? That's cool. Yeah. West Tex Construction Remodeling. I found you guys in March and finally got caught up to the new episodes this month. You guys do a great job of being positive and encouraging. I grew up in the trades. My dad has been a GC for 30 years, and I put myself through college by running his business. After a 10-year career in my degree field that left me unfulfilled, I came back to the trades and started my own remodeling business in November. Starting a business and then getting hit with COVID 4 months later was quite stressful, but finding you guys and listening to your inspiration was extremely helpful. The ideas you guys offer up are exactly what I was trying to do from the get-go. Never sacrifice quality for budget and hold yourself to the higher standards. Thank you for the knowledge you share each week. Keep it coming. The upper end of the market does exist no matter where you are, Boston, New Jersey, or rural West Texas. And then we get one from Michael P. Ross. I'm a 24-year-old trim carpenter out in Kansas, and then this podcast is a tool I use to motivate myself and inspire me to achieve bigger and better success at everything I do. I agree, live by the statement, becoming a better carpenter makes me a better man. Love what you guys do and find myself constantly checking the page for new episodes. Keep being awesome. Oh, one request. Would love an entire podcast dedicated to your guys' opinion on how the building community can entice the younger generation to get into blue collar. I see a lot of people my age afraid of the hard work it takes to learn the skill, and with Costco paying $15 to bag groceries, it's hard to motivate new hires to take the time to earn the bigger pay rate. How do you convince people How do you convince people the reward is worth the effort? Well, what timing that is, because we
I'm just
talked
thinking
about that.
Costco right now.
Yeah, I didn't know that was so much. Maybe I'll do that on the side.
Seriously. You can go get food there. They got pizza.
You know,
churros.
I'd make a deal. I'd be like, yo, I want piece rate. How many bags I can do an hour?
Dude,
and just go like all the lines.
Those people are so good. I come up with my cart and it's got crap everywhere. And then the lady puts it, or the guy or the lady puts it up on the conveyor, checks everything out, and then stacks it perfectly like grocery shopping Tetris. And I have a full cart. It's overloaded. And then they get done and I have like half a cart. And I'm like, man, you are so good. And it's quick too.
Well, let's wrap this one up. And you guys stay tuned because I think we got a bonus episode coming out later this week. And you guys are going to want to... Two for a week. And I would say that you're probably going to want to listen to that one. So as always, this podcast is brought to you by Duration Moulding and Millwork. Let's talk sustainability. How about a product that uses waste from coal production and turns it into siding and moldings that meet the tough standards of historical architectural review boards? And because it's so durable, you won't have to be worrying about replacing it. Do the right thing for the environment, your client, and your reputation. To learn more about Duration Poly Ash products, please visit their website at durationmillwork.com.